Young and the Restless spoiler reveals that the atmosphere in Sharon's house is still thick with worry and fear. Nick Newman, his face full of worry, stands at the dining table, holding a cold cup of coffee. He sees Faith Newman coming down the stairs, her eyes still dark from a restless night. They both carry the same anxiety, and it seems that neither of them can sleep all night long. Nick pauses, thinking carefully before answering. He doesn't want to worry his daughter, but at the same time, he can't deny that Ian Ward, a name that haunts, could be at the center of everything. "I'm not ruling out any possibilities," Nick says firmly. "But let the police do their job. We have to keep faith that your mother will return safely." Meanwhile, at the Newman Ranch, an equally tense conversation is taking place. Nikki Newman, her eyes filled with resentment, stood before the large window, staring out at the fields in the pale sunlight. Beside her, Victor Newman, the powerful man of the family, folded his arms, his eyes filled with determination. "Ian Ward should never have been released from prison," Nikki said, her voice filled with anger. "He's ruined so many lives, and now he's causing more suffering. I can't believe he's come back to Genoa City." Victor stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on Nikki's shoulder. "I know Ian is a threat," Victor replied, his voice carrying a quiet strength. "But I won't let him hurt you or anyone in this family. My security team is watching his every move. If Ian tries anything, I'll deal with him before the police can even get in." Nikki turned, looking Victor straight in the eye. "I can't bear to have him come back to haunt us. Ian is more than just a criminal. He's a monster in disguise." Victor nodded in agreement, his eyes shining with determination. "This family has faced worse. Ian is just another challenge. I won't let him win." Faith's anxiety. Back at Sharon's house, Faith sat on the sofa, hugging a pillow. Her thoughts were racing, images of Ian Ward and her mother flashing across her mind. She remembered the stories her family had told her about Ian, a scheming, dangerous man who had caused so much pain. "Dad," Faith looked up at Nick, tears welling in her eyes. "If Ian has taken Mom, what can we do? I feel so helpless." Nick sat down next to his daughter, holding her close. "Faith, I know how you feel. But your mother is a fighter. She won't go down to anyone, not even Ian. And I'll do whatever it takes to bring her home. We've been through a lot before, and we'll be through this one too." Nick's words were a temporary sedative for Faith, but the worry in her eyes didn't go away. Victor's determination. At Newman Ranch, Victor was on an urgent call with security. "I want all information about Ian Ward reported immediately," he said into the phone, his voice cold. "If he dares to come near any member of my family, you must act." Nikki stood nearby, listening to her husband's every word. Though she was still filled with uncertainty, Victor's determination made her feel more at ease. "I believe in you, Victor," Nikki said. "But we can't rely on security alone. We need the police and even the media to get involved. Sharon's missing, and if Ian is really behind this, we need to find him quickly before things get out of hand." Victor nodded, agreeing with his wife. "I'll do whatever it takes to protect our family, Nikki. And this time, Ian won't get a second chance." In the suffocating atmosphere of tension and anxiety, each member of the Newman family faces their own fears. Faith tries to cling to her father's comforting words, while Victor and Nikki constantly try to protect their family from the threat of Ian Ward. But Genoa City has never been a peaceful place, and the darkness from the past always finds a way to creep back in. With Sharon still missing and Ian on the loose, no one knows where the next chapter of the story will lead them. Only one thing is certain: the Newman family will never bow to any enemy. Nick Newman visited his parents, Victor and Nikki, hoping to find comfort and advice from his two closest loved ones. Though he tried to remain calm, he couldn't hide his exhaustion from days of worrying about Sharon's disappearance. Victor, a powerful but loving family man, leaned back in his chair, his eyes piercing as if they were piercing through everything. Nikki, beside him, looked more tense than usual, her eyes constantly fixed on her son with sympathy. "A dangerous connection. Do you really think Ian Ward is behind this?" Victor asked, breaking the heavy atmosphere in the living room. Nick nodded, his voice hoarse with exhaustion. "All the signs point to him. Ian hurt my mother and my family, and now, with Sharon missing, I can't help but think of him. But the problem is, we don't have any evidence to charge him." Nikki clenched her fists, her eyes blazing with anger. Ian is a smart and dangerous man. He always knows how to cover his tracks. But this time, we won't let him get away. Victor nodded slightly. I've instructed the security team to follow him closely. If Ian is really involved, we'll find out. Just as the conversation was getting tense, Nick's phone rang. Looking at the screen, he saw the name Chance Chancellor, a longtime friend and one of Genoa City's most trusted investigators. Breaking news. Nick quickly picked up the phone, while Victor and Nikki watched his face closely. Chance, any news about Sharon? Nick asked, his voice filled with excitement. Chance answered from the other end of the line, his voice barely concealed by tension. Nick, we just found Sharon's car. It's at the bottom of the river, near the area where Heather's body was found after her death. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Nick froze, trying to process the information he had just received. Heather? You mean there's a connection between her death and Sharon's disappearance? We can't say for sure yet, but the coincidence can't be ignored, Chance replied. We're investigating further and we'll let you know as soon as we have more information. Nick hung up, his eyes heavy as he looked at his parents. Nikki immediately jumped up, grabbing his hand. Nick, you can't blame yourself. We're going to find Sharon, no matter what. Victor, his face determined, said, this could be a big step toward finding the truth. I'll contact the necessary people to expedite the investigation. Phyllis's unexpected condition. While the Newman family was dealing with increasingly complicated troubles, at a posh cafe in downtown Genoa City, Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers were having a private meeting. Phyllis, with a cool but cunning demeanor, folded her arms across her chest and looked straight at Billy. Billy had just returned to the table after a quick chat with Sally, ready to hear the condition that Phyllis had hinted at earlier. Okay, Phyllis, Billy said, sitting down and facing her. What's your only condition? Get straight to the point. Phyllis smirked, her sharp eyes making Billy wary. Simple, she said. I'll agree to this partnership, but only if you promise to give Daniel a position at Chancellor Industries. And not just any position. I want him to be a key player in the company. Billy leaned back in his chair, raising his eyebrows at Phyllis's request. You want me to bring Daniel into my company and give him a key position? Don't you think that's a bit much? Phyllis leaned forward, her eyes serious. Billy, this isn't a normal deal. Daniel is a talent you can't ignore. He'll be a huge benefit to your company. And if you want me to partner with him, this is my only condition. Billy thought for a moment, then nodded. Okay, Phyllis. I'll consider it. But remember, if Daniel doesn't live up to expectations, I won't hesitate to change my mind. The story in Genoa City is getting more and more complicated, with shady connections between the past and the present. While Nick and the Newman family try to solve Sharon's disappearance, Billy and Phyllis are caught up in bold decisions that will shape the future of Chancellor Industries. The question is Ian Ward really behind Sharon's disappearance? And if her car was found near where Heather died, what does that mean? The mysteries remain, and in the world of the young and the restless, every action can lead to unexpected consequences.